Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens Review. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pretty decisive win against the New York Giants. Not that really anybody honestly thought it was going to go any other way. The Giants are... Some might say it's bad coaching. Some might say it's just bad luck. Some might say bad players. And more with the luck, I guess, is injuries. Getting that many players injured definitely going to hurt your performance. But Lamar ran a little bit, but I think he's still got that mindset that he wants to prove everybody that he can be a passing quarterback. Doesn't really want to run much. He ran a few times, but 5 touchdown passes is kind of So you can see him on BaltimoreRavens.com. Get to the stat page a little bit. While I'm talking about that, he only threw the ball 25 times, which isn't that much. It's really not. Completing 21 of the passes, so very accurate. Or, not enough giant defenders around the receivers to contest the catches. There weren't that many contested catches. There really weren't. 5 touchdown passes. Disappointing that Derrick Henry didn't get a little bit more play, though at the same time, got to a certain point with the Ravens, and you see Rasheen Ali here with 8 rushes, Hill with 2, Johnson, and Josh Johnson, the backup quarterback, with 1. So Henry could have had more yards, but because the game was over at that point, it didn't really happen. Get to my main notes here. Very poor start for the Ravens. Very poor. Well, depends on a very poor start for the offense. The Ravens had a great start. Justice Hill on the kick return gets down to what? The Giants' 40 or 30 yard line? And then a few plays later, what happens? Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball. Yeah. Because while he wants to be a passing quarterback, he still wants to finish runs like a running back. And not a very good running back. One that doesn't secure the football. Not good. Lamar fumbles too much. He definitely is turnover prone. While it may not be many interceptions, the fumbles get to be a problem. Mama said run more. Lamar did, but lost the football. Wonder what she would say to him after that game. What the hell am I talking about here? Ravens offense scored at will. Right. With the first drive being the fumble and then the second drive was punt, Ravens didn't punt again until what? Halfway through the fourth quarter. So offense was those 5 drives in the middle there. Touchdown. Not eating up too much clock, which is somewhat odd, but scoring 5 touchdowns is scoring 5 touchdowns. Again, they ended up losing the time of a possession battle. Very odd. Still way too many penalties. I mean, holy shit. A lot of penalties. Gave up 112. Or actually, let's go to NFL.com. Their little stat page has a little better thing here. Is it here? Penalties. 12 penalties by the Ravens. Did they say the yards? I thought they say yards on here. I want to say it was 112, but I can't be completely positive. I figured it would be on here. It's not. They did pull up a stat during the broadcast of the game. It said 112 at one point. I don't know if it ended up going higher than that with, another penalty after that, because that sounds like Ravens football. Even though they're the class of the league, getting penalized this much. Now, some of them are really on the Ravens themselves. Some of them are just on this league. Like, say, I wrote it down here. Where mainly for the defense, I think roughing. I'll never agree with that rule. I never will. You want to change the target of a defender. He can't go high. He can't go real low. Now you're trying to say he can't land with all his weight on the quarterback. Well, that's still a judgment call, which is ridiculous now because you can just throw flags at will on defense, which is bullshit. And how do you be... There are just certain angles of a defender coming at a quarterback that he just can't. He can't not put his weight on there. Mentioned on the broadcast, like, oh, that's why some guys just put their hand down. You know, you do that and you risk hurting your own self. Because you're going to the ground in a tackle, you put your hand down, you do risk hurting yourself for the sake of the quarterback. Well, you know what? Maybe the quarterback shouldn't take a sack. Throw the ball away. Okay. So we're trying to save the pain and the injury status of quarterbacks at the expense of defenders. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Okay. Yeah, hands to the face. Yeah, I mean, that was hands to the face on Owe before one of the Giants' touchdowns. Now, at the same time, I've mentioned this. There's a point where a defensive lineman beats an offensive lineman, but the offensive lineman is still hanging on. Up around the chin strap, pulling backwards, which is the same motion in the motion of the head being pushed up and back. And why they throw a flag on a defender for illegal hands to the face, but yet you won't do that on an offensive lineman. Okay, it's not illegal hands to the face, but at what point does this become the hand, or what point does it become an arm or hand? If it's your forearm and it's wrapped around the defensive lineman's chin strap and pulling back. It's the same thing happening. Okay, so again, it's not a hand. It's a forearm. You're still wrapping around a chin strap and pulling back. I don't see why that's allowed. Okay. Whatever. The pass interference calls. There were 3 that I really didn't like. The 2 on Stevens, the one in the end zone, and then the one just before the end zone. And the one at the end of the game against Desmond King, I'm looking at that, I'm like, he barely touched the guy. He barely touched the receiver. The receiver barely broke stride. He just didn't catch the ball. How are you throwing a penalty flag on that? It's like they want the Ravens to have the most penalties. Because you threw one there, you didn't have to throw one there. No way. First of all, it's already a lot to a very little with very little time left on the clock. Why are you even throwing that? It's a judgment call. Why are you throwing the pass interference flag there? Okay, whatever. The one on Stevens in the end zone, I feel like he barely did anything to a receiver. Yeah, okay, he had an arm up. What exactly that means? Oh, when he wasn't holding one. He held the arm here, and it's like somehow that means that the receiver couldn't get his arm up. Okay, well, Stevens could get his arm up and bat the ball away. Yeah, he was actually looking for the football there. And you still call it pass interference. I'm like, that doesn't even look like a catchable football, because the ball's still going to be at the same spot. Stevens is still going to be at the same spot, knocking away the football. So how would the receiver have even caught it? Okay. And then the other one was thrown way behind the receiver, and I still feel like Stevens barely touched the guy. I mean, he has a right to be in that spot, okay? As long as he doesn't really drag the guy around, how's it a penalty? It's penalty because they couldn't complete the pass. Well, you threw it in the wrong spot. You can't just call pass interference because the defender didn't allow the offensive guy to come back through him and catch a football. Defender has a right to be there. I feel like at least one of those two on Brandon Stevens, you absolutely cannot call. And moreover, why you can't call him is because the only reason the Giants were able to do much of anything is because of how many times they just threw the ball up to a wide receiver. We got nothing. We're barely able to complete a pass. We're barely able to run the ball. We're barely getting any yards. Let's just chuck the ball up there and let's just see what happens. It'll either be incomplete, an interception, a catch, or pass interference. And you know what? With a pass interference, happy referee staff against Brandon Stevens, there it is. And you know what? They still didn't even come close to winning. That's like, why are you throwing the flag? Giants were nowhere near winning. Nowhere near. Maybe in the first quarter. Because the Ravens were just, they couldn't get wrong on offense. The Giants were not in the game after this first quarter was over. But you're still throwing all these passes. They're literally just chucking the ball up. It's like a half Mary. It's not a Hail Mary where you're just throwing up a complete prayer, but you're throwing up a prayer that something will happen. You can't move the ball down the field on your own, so you're hoping that the referees will help you out. And they did it. Way too many pass interference calls that just shouldn't have been called. Because why? Whatever. Alright, what am I still talking about here? Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker. Did not need him for field goals at all. So that's great. 5 extra points attempted, 5 extra points made. Yay! Lucky there, but it did. But they have it on here. I don't have it kickoffs listed here, but Stout was doing kickoffs, which is, it's a question mark. I have a question mark written down in the notes. Why? It's odd. But, okay. I mean, they mentioned it several times on the broadcast. I'm like, well, why is he kicking off? Why is Stout doing the kickoffs? That didn't make any sense. Tucker injured? You're giving Jordan Stout some practice? I don't know. Might be something to pay attention to, I guess. Alright, let's talk about the defense. Since I was already kind of just talking about the defense. Very easy assignment for the defense. Because again, the Giants just, what were they on their fourth quarterback? Something. Man, the Giants had 2 quarterbacks. Tim Boyle and Tommy DeVito started. Tim Boyle then comes in late because DeVito, I think, got a concussion somehow. Barely touched him, but all right. Bad offensive line play. How many other quarterbacks have they had? I mean, Daniel Jones. So it's at least 3. They've had at least 3 quarterbacks. And none of them are really that good. They got one wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, looks pretty good. Of course, I mean, it's 2024, almost 2025 in the National Football League. How many wide receivers do not look good? You know? They stopped shooting themselves in the foot, you know? An encroachment. They even had an encroachment penalty. Okay, so you get rid of the hands of the face, you get rid of the encroachment. Okay, I feel like the roughing the passer is going to happen, and some of these pass interference calls, they're just going to happen, even though they shouldn't. But it's not encroached, you know, right? You got to wait till the ball snapped. When you run in an offensive lineman, the ball's not snapped. And what was the other one that I was going to say? I have the hands of the face. Shooting yourself in the foot. There's way too many penalties. It's very, as far as a penalty thing there and things that you definitely can't do. Not even leaving it up to judgment. Take pass interference out of it for a second because it is judgment based. All the other stupid shit, and you're still doing it. Encroachment. Hands to the face. The dumb ass center, and I know I'm talking about the defense here, but I mean, false starts. It's just both sides of the football seem to be very undisciplined in the basic fundamentals of football. Hey, you snap the football, that's when defenders can move. Or that's really when everybody can move, technically. I mean, there is some motion plays, but you gotta wait until the center snaps the football to move. Y'all have lots of problems with that, which is odd. Best guess, you just need to practice more. Right? I mean, that's what that sounds like to me. Or maybe the refs need to get off their ass and, pay attention to some of these. Just snap the fucking ball, man. That might be another thing. That might help clean some of this shit up. Why do you need to then hike? No. Why are you? Because the problem is, depending on the player, they're hutting too loud, or there is a little bit of motion there. Call it against the Ravens, but you won't call it against the Giants because I'm sure none of them were moving. That's cool. That's fine. But I just don't understand, why are you allowed to yell hut or hike so many times? Why even make that allowed? Just have the center snap the football. It's weird. But whatever. The NFL doesn't want defenses to do good. They don't. The better defenses do, the less points that are scored, the less supposed enjoyment there is for the fans watching the game. Less enjoyment by fans watching the game, the less money the NFL makes. So it's kind of why some of these penalties are called. Because the NFL wants more money. That's it. It's not about player safety. Believe me, they would actually give players 6 or 7 days off, depending on how you look at it. Play on Sunday, you play on the next Sunday. Or, playing on Monday, then playing on Sunday, 6, 7 days. They would always do that if they actually gave a shit about player safety. No playing on Sunday, then playing on Thursday. No playing on Saturday. Even moving a game up to be on a Saturday instead of the Sunday, so you have an extra day because your next game is Wednesday. Yeah. The NFL wouldn't do that if they gave a shit about player safety. They don't care about player safety. They care about money. That's why all this dumb rules protecting the quarterbacks. Because if they think the offense moves the ball based on the quarterback play. So if you got trash quarterback, you can't move the ball. Evidence? Giants. The Giants offense we just saw. So protect the quarterbacks. So, again, more money. Ajabo, oh my, David Ajabo on the field. Oh my, we have a David Ajabo sighting. Holy shit. My mouth's not working. There it is. Thank you. To go along with Malik Harrison and Kyle Van Noy with a sack. Look at this. And he got a sack. Wow. Shocking. I didn't remember why he was even. It's like, yeah, because somebody. Isaac. Because I don't think Adisa Isaac was not active because. I don't know. I mentioned it in the injury report. Though I do feel David Ajabo had a very nice pursuit. He started on the left side of the defensive formation. And by the time he was able to get to sack, it was the Giants quarterback. I forgot who it was already because they're on their third or fourth one. He rolled out to his left, Ajabo's right, the far right of the formation. And Ajabo ended up chasing him down. Nice backside pursuit and getting home before the quarterback could cross the line. So, very nice play. Wish we could see more of that from Ajabo. see going forward. All right, we'll talk about the offense. And yeah, I got negatives to say about the offense. I got some positives too. Burns getting a sack early in the game, right before Mark Andrews' touchdown. His Ravens record-breaking touchdown, 48 touchdowns, which is... I mean, it's great for Mark Andrews. I think it... And how everybody goes... This going along with how everybody's saying the Ravens are such a good organization. It's 2024. They're just now getting one player up to 48 touchdowns. That doesn't sound good to me. Almost 30 years of this football team, and 48 is the most you got by one player? Wow. That's not that good. Just doesn't sound that good to me. If you think about all the offensive players that have existed over time, yeah, not that many of them have been Ravens. You can't get anybody? All the quarterbacks and all the wide receivers and all the tight ends out there, you can't get a... You're just now starting to get a good combination. Wow. It's sad. That's sad. And he's won 2 Super Bowls. That's pretty sad. They mentioned that on the broadcast too. Or mentioned this on the broadcast too. And of all the... I can't even remember who was on there. It was one of the McCourtys because of their twins. Tiki Barber was there. I can't remember the play-by-play guy was. All 32 teams in the NFL. There's only one team with a tight end as their touchdown record holder. Obviously, I just told you Mark Andrews is a tight end. Yeah, it's the Ravens because, we don't have a wide receiver. Not drafted wide receivers well. And running backs, well, for some reason we don't keep them around that long. Which is not good. But it's a great organization, isn't it? One that gets penalized a lot. Their head coach, who everybody loves, can seem to never win a challenge. Doesn't manage timeouts that well. Yeah, great organization. Wonderful. Class of the league. Oh, okay. However, but on to Burns' sack, and it's something I have mentioned in how offensive linemen pass protect. Stanley went out a little wide and then got beat inside, which is why I tell you, about how the tackles make a pocket. They can't just, come out. They want to curve around and make a pocket, protect themselves from the inside moves. And yeah, that's why. Because Burns practically untouched in there. Because Stanley goes too wide, and a little inside the move, nice nifty move, gets in there on Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that was wonderful. And I mentioned this, a false start. Linderbaum, ball started again. Huh? Of course, part of it is, it's all, were they both after it? Because, you see all these times of the quarterback not paying attention. All of a sudden the ball snapped in his face and, there's a fumble. You don't want that. Just not very technically sound or very disciplined. This team. It's not. So, where does that start? And I know I'm harping on Harbaugh here, and it's like, oh my God, we won. Really? Ryno? But again, you talk about all these penalties. And you talk about all the dumb miscues. And it's... Sure, some of it is on the players. But who is making the game plans and making sure the players know these game plans? Who's teaching these players how to play football. You know, I mean, you can't just blame it all on the players. At some point, it's the coaching staff. Absolutely. Or the GM. I mean, honestly, think about how many times you've watched a football game. And then I want you to count for me how many times you've seen a center get penalized for a false start. But this is a great organization. For some good, finally, some good. Ryno talking about good. Devontae Walker, 4th round draft pick wide receiver, has only one catch this year and for his NFL career, and it was a 20-something yard touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson. See it right here. Come on, mouse. Let's go. Bam. Also made a very nice tackle. Well, depends on how you define tackle. I guess you can't. Technically, it's called a tackle. It didn't look like a tackle, but he did stop the ball carrier on special teams. It did look like that ball carrier was going to kick it out way left and probably get a few more yards, but luckily, while being blocked and taken to the ground, Devontae Walker has the presence of mind to swing his arm out and smash, I guess, the ball carrier's legs, and he goes down. So, nice, let's say, field position saving stop. So, some good coaching there. Because I wouldn't believe that a wide receiver is very good at making tackles on special teams. You just don't think that. Anyway. Yeah. You see all this. Wow. Talk about some of the few stats here by the offense. Yeah. 5 touchdown passes, Lamar Jackson. Rashad Bateman only catches the football 3 times. Won 5 targets. 2 touchdowns. The first one was very nice. The first one was a lot of Rashad Bateman doing the work, making 2 guys miss, and then being able to stay up long enough while the third one is tackling him to get into the end zone. The second one was a nice pass from Lamar Jackson. Maybe a little too far in the back of the end zone, but Bateman's still able to get the feet down. Justice Hill, the touchdown pass to Justice Hill, Hill had several receptions out of the backfield, but on his touchdown, he just wasn't covered at all and was able to walk in 20 yards. Andrews got his touchdown in their Walker. I do feel like Zay Flowers, I mentioned this a few reviews ago or whatever, and I feel like I saw it a few times now. I mean, Zay Flowers, he like 5'9", Mark Andrews, 6'5", 6'6", likely 6'6". Big height discrepancy, and I noticed at least one where Flowers had to jump really high to get the ball. Of course, now if he was 6 inches taller, he doesn't have to jump that high. So it might almost be like Lamar Jackson trouble remembering who it is he's throwing to. Because if it's Mark Andrews, he's at a certain height, and you can get away with throwing a ball at a certain height. If it's Zay Flowers, you really can't. Definitely noticed that. Lamar missing high. Of course, is he missing, or is he just forgetting how tall his target is? You can't throw a ball 9 feet in the air to a guy that isn't even 6 foot tall. But let's say likely. Can Isaiah likely make up that 2.5 feet with a jump and arm extension? No, I mean, how long do you think his arms are? I mean, his arms got to be at least a foot long, and he could jump at least a foot off the ground, right? So I feel like, yeah, you could likely could make that up. I don't think Zay Flowers can make that up. You know, I mean, that's more than, I mean, that's what? Almost 3.5 feet Zay Flowers got to make up, where Isaiah likely does not. So maybe that is more coaching that needs to be done. All that negative stuff after Ravens loss. Let's get this schedule, get out of here. I don't know why it didn't actually click on the thing. As I have talked about this schedule, and a lot of us have talked about, real shitty part of the schedule coming up. Only 6 days off because Ravens are playing this Saturday. I mean, whatever, NFL, whatever. You're just trying to make more money. Don't tell me you care about these guys' safety. You don't. You don't. That's right. This coming Saturday at 4:30, Baltimore Ravens will be playing the Steelers. Going to be at M&T Bank Stadium. And yeah, I usually release my review of I usually release my preview show about the time this game is going to happen. So no, I will have to do it a day earlier. So yeah, while that is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens Review, please stay tuned for Friday, next edition of Ryno's Ravens Preview, and I'll preview the game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm the Angry Ryno. Fly Ravens, fly.